Much
Much
better.
better.
But you're frozen.
All right, so this
Mm,
hopefully
mm,
should get better. But yeah, all right,
at-
Okay.
all right. Man, I just
let's
Oh.
go.
I'm so out of my depth without my monitors and my screen. Too
What
much.
are you looking at?
Right now, I'm looking at my screen, so it's like I've got my laptop and then I got my phone,
Okay.
but it's insane. But I'm trying to figure out a way to be. Yeah. Okay. Should be good. Should be good. You
Yeah.
won't be recorded. Cool. 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 Gotta do the screen thing. Yeah. Everybody's uploading, which is good.
Yeah. Are
Okay.
we're
Awesome.
going live, or we're just like just recording?
I think we're just gonna record at this point
Recording, I
because it's
think.
like if it was my computer at home, I think you could handle it and we could do the live stream together. But I think
Yeah.
it's trying to do the live stream and record at the same time on the laptop is just like I will commit suicide. So yeah.
Okay.
Market
All right.
just opened.
Okay.
Okay.
One sec.
All right. We ready?
We are ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Bam. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Market Buzz. This week has been nothing more than stunning. Everybody's freaking out, everybody's scared, and nobody knows how the market will be continuing the year. We've had amazing volatility. DeepSeek and the Chinese are taking over AI. Nvidia is not going to be selling any more chips in the near future. Pandemonium. Donald Trump is signing every single executive order that comes across his desk. And he wants to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal. Here, we're going to be telling you what our thoughts are in this market, whether you should be freaking out and running for the hills, selling your portfolio, or should you be buying more and making sure you are taking advantage of this golden opportunity. In this episode of Market Buzz, we're going to talk about DeepSeek. We're going to talk about the FOMC. We're going to talk about crypto. And we're going to talk about the earnings of Meta, Tesla, and Microsoft. We're also going to be touching on chips. So stay tuned for another episode of Bang. And then the intro goes here. Cool. So, the first things first. What has happened this week? Who wants to take the important role of explaining what is going on, man?
I can take it. That was a total mess. Honestly, I don't have other words to explain. So what happened is basically China came out over the last weekend, with a new AI language model, something like ChatGPT, that uses apparently far less computing power. They don't need as many chips. They almost don't need any chips from NVIDIA. And I was actually made aware during the weekend by a work colleague. He sent me an Instagram about the news. I checked the news. I downloaded DeepSeek. I tried it out. To be honest, it felt a little bit like the AliExpress version of ChatGPT. I was not very happy with the answers that it was providing. But anyways, the markets got spooked. On Monday, they sold everything related to AI, and even things not related to AI, like crypto. Crypto sold off. That made no sense on Monday. Cybersecurity stocks, like what's the reason they got sold off? I don't know. They got sold off on Monday. Microsoft sold, Nvidia dropped by 16 or 17% in one day. That's like, I think, $800 billion market cap just disappeared.
600.
All of this made no sense.
Yeah.
600 billion. All this made absolutely no sense. For me personally, it was my biggest ever daily drawdown. I told it to Dimitri on Monday, like, because I'm quite exposed to tech. It made absolutely zero sense. But we saw some recovery since Monday, with a lot of stocks rising again. Cybersecurity stocks having one of their best days ever yesterday. Crypto also holding support, critical supports, rising again. So for me, it was a gigantic buy opportunity. What happened on Monday, and what happened on Monday coincided also with Japan carry trade. Because Japan raised again interest rate, right? So a lot of money leave the US back to Japan, and some tension between US and Colombia. I don't think it was really that important, but all of these factors coincided on Monday.
Yeah, this whole week just seems to be a mashing pot of news, and nobody knows how to take every single news. And it's just, you know what? We've made money last year, so let's just sell, take profits, diversify as much as we can. It feels. What about you guys, Dimitri Adamos? What are you seeing from the week?
So I agree with everything Akim said, but I might have an explanation why some parts of the market got sold off despite having nothing to do with NVIDIA. And it's because NVIDIA is the second largest company in the world, and it's a huge part of the S&P. I think it's 10% of the S&P. So when that takes a hit, when a company on the top three, Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA takes a hit, then the index takes a hit. And when the hit is so significant of 15, 16%, everybody who was on leverage on it got liquidated. And then they had to sell something else to get some liquidity, okay, to re-enter the markets. So what do you do in that case? You sell your most liquid names, the Microsoft and the Googles and all that. So when the market goes down, it goes down on a spiral, okay? And I believe that's a good opportunity to buy something else that has nothing to do with tech. It was on discount on Monday. So if you weren't looking for tech, you were looking for something else other than banks. I think only the finance can get hit on Monday. It was there for the take. So that's a side of that. And the analogy that the media gave, that was the Sputnik moment of AI, I don't agree with that, because if I remember correctly, at the time the Russians took the first steps to space. This is not the case. The AI has been around since 2022. So in theory, DeepSeek just matched what ChatGPT did on paper. We don't know the details, we don't know the cause, we don't know how many NVIDIA chips they are using, because Elon Musk is claiming that they're actually using more NVIDIA chips than they claim. So there are a lot of things that we don't know yet, but as far as I'm concerned, it changed nothing Monday for me and my portfolio. I did nothing on Monday. I didn't buy or sell. I just holded, and we continue. It's business as usual.
And from my side,
Alamo, sorry.
Yeah,
No,
about
Alamo,
DeepSeek.
please.
Okay, initially, my first concern was what's going on in here. I mean, is the same industry collapsing? But after looking in the details and reading various reports, I understood that DeepSeek was a method of distillation using other AI models to build on top of them. And that's why it costed less. So it might not be 6 million because they only count the 6 million in the training. And usually models cost 100 millions to billion. But what was the conclusion for me after a couple of days is that that's the future. AI is the future. And when we get Meta reporting results last night, and I was looking for the CapEx figure, because 5 days ago, they came up and they said, we are going to spend 60 to 65 billion in CapEx. After DeepSeek, I was expecting a reduction. That didn't come up. And he said, we are investing in AI. AI is the future. So DeepSeek is like a wake-up call that China is in this game, that open source is important for this evolution, and that AI chips are going to be needed. Yet they have to be optimized, because previously everyone was buying the highest compute chip from NVIDIA, but now they might find an alternative solution using NVIDIA, AMD chips. So it's gonna get interesting. I don't know where it's heading, but I'm sure the chips industry, it's heading upwards. but with a lot of competition.
Yeah.
Well,
And, like-
everybody. Oh, sorry, Mimi.
Yeah, just I'll make it very brief. Like, just zooming out and seeing the bigger picture here, it was a knee-jerk reaction. It was very irrational. The sell-off was just like, it didn't make sense at all. But Adamos just said, like, with competition breeds innovation. That's the thing. Everybody freaked out and there was a huge sell-off. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when somebody's doing something better, in a sense, and cheaper, it's just going to light the fire with everybody else, and it just goes to show we can do this as well. And so it's overall it's a great thing that's happening, rather than seeing like the negative side, which was very, very short-lived and very temporary.
Yeah. To give a little
Can I
bit
ask a
more-
question? Can I ask?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Very quick one. Nvidia, buy or sell, and why? I want to hear each one of you very quickly. I know a lot of people are worried about the Nvidia stocks on eToro.
Look, at this point,
Let's start with Dimitri. You're the first on the screen. Oh,
For
sorry,
me,
Nestor. Go ahead. Nvidia, buy or sell, and why?
Look, Nvidia's a buy, and it's interesting because the story goes around China, and it's like, look, with very little people and very little resources, they were able to do what ChatGPT can do. But funny enough, they had access to ChatGPT, as Adamo said. So it's easier to build ChatGPT when you have access to ChatGPT, obviously. Therefore, the realization of AI is finally coming true. I'm calling DeepSeek ChatGPT 2.0. It's that ChatGPT 2.0 moment, because the truth is, less people were more productive because access to LLM, access to infrastructure that wasn't here a year or 2 years ago, and we're building even faster, more productive, and cheaper. So AI, the capex cost, that is the return. The return is the productivity of your workforce going off 10 to 100x, and the costs are being reduced 10 to 100x. So how can you not continue to spend massively in this if those are the promises that have been realized?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So it's a buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a buy.
Mimi, what's your?
Well,
It's a buy for Nestor. Mimi, what's your take on Nvidia?
It's a buy. It's for sure a buy. I mean, like, this is just a little bump in the road, but then that's with everything, It's just another challenge, another obstacle to evolve and to innovate and to push forward. And so Nvidia has that capability. I'm sure we're all on the same page about that. But yeah, that's my opinion.
So, 2 buys to Neil and Adamos.
Okay,
Nvidia,
if it
would
was
you
a
buy
buy
now?
for me, I would have bought it a year ago. But because of valuation, I'm always concerned with Nvidia. But to be honest, if I was sharing my suggestion, not an advice, was to let the dust settle first, because it's an unclear picture. It's the leading chip company right now, but we know that with competition, and if we go back to the Cisco times, it might prove that AMD has some chips that will help in this evolution. So we don't know that yet. So if it was extremely cheap, I would buy, because it has a mode. Obviously, it has a mode. But for me, it's not a buy right now, because, there is a lot of uncertainty and the valuation is rich. But the future, I'm sure it's going to be great.
There's a risk that it turns into a Cisco 2.0, right? That's what you are basically saying. There's a risk. It's remote.
Yeah. Very remote.
Yeah. Okay, it's a hold. It's a hold for Adamos.
Hold, exactly.
It's a hold.
Yeah.
Dimitri?
So for me, it's 2 answers. If I didn't have it in my portfolio, it would be a buy. But because I have it in my portfolio, it's a hold. So, and I have a lot of it. I think it's like my third last position. So I'm not going to be buying from here on. But if I didn't have any, Monday I will be buying loads of it for sure. So it's a buy. It's a buy.
Yeah, not to copy Dimitri, but basically, I had closed all my Nvidia position at the end of December. I think it was close to $140 per share, and I didn't have it in my portfolio when it dropped on Monday. And at the end of Monday, I bought a seizable position. I made it my top 3 stocks. So for me, it became a buy. And whoever already owns the stock and has already a big portion of it in the portfolio, I would say just hold and let the dust settle whether you want to increase or decrease your stock. Holding, just hold. I increased it to approximately the percentage that it represents in the S&P 500 index. In my opinion, it was a great opportunity to buy if you missed the train or if you had closed it at an earlier rebalancing.
What is the percentage of it in the S&P? Is it 10%?
Yeah, it's close to that. Yeah, I can check the exact weighting. I'll let you know in 10 seconds.
I think it's up there, 10%. It's interesting how large it got so quickly, and then when it takes like a 17% hit in a single day, and then expect everything else to go down.
It tells you that one of the important things is many people don't know what they're owning. When they buy NVIDIA, they don't really know what they have. They're just like, okay, AI, they sell computers, go, right? But in reality, say, like, do you see the demand for chips coming down anytime soon? Do you see demand for compute coming anytime soon? So that's where the bigger questions that need to be answered. And I think we're gonna maybe transition into the next step, because Adamos, I want to get your point on Meta earnings, because you touched on CapEx, so I want to get a little bit deep. I want to dig a little bit deeper, and potentially talk about Microsoft and Tesla as well, which are, I think, yesterday we had the 3 biggest buyers of NVIDIA chips report earnings, and every single one of them, as is my understanding, increased capital expenditures. So now there is some gray lining, because it's interesting that you talk AMD, and potentially one of the other companies I heard was Broadcom in this case. Was it's like, okay, maybe they're not going to be just buying NVIDIA chips anymore. We're looking at other companies to kind of break down the workload. So maybe that takes a little bit of the potential for pricing, the potential pricing power that NVIDIA has. But I want to hear your thoughts. So what happened with Meta, and whoever wants to jump in for Microsoft and Tesla, more than appreciated, because Tesla was a very interesting behavior after earnings. So Adamo, tell me about Meta.
Meta, in my opinion, did pretty well. I mean, revenues grew by 21%, reaching 48 billion. Operating margins stood at 48% in the last quarter compared to 41% in the prior year. EPS, again, beat expectation. Daily active people were up by 5%, so now it's 3.35 billion people. So possibly everyone that has access to the internet has a Meta application on his phone. So they did pretty well. And also threads, they were up by 45 million compared to last quarter. And then on the AI front, they talked about the Meta AI assistant that they expected to reach 1 billion users by the end of this year. And 1 billion users, if you think about it, it's going to give Meta a huge data advantage in personalizing the AI. And the other interesting part that from the call was the agentic AI, but being an engineering, mid-level engineer. Zuckerberg talked about that and said that we expect that in this year, we might see an AI engineer coming out, and whoever does this first, he's going to be years ahead than the rest, because they will have those engineers helping on the AI developments. So historically, I mean, Q4 numbers, 24 numbers were pretty good. The, let's say, not so positive thing was the forecast, because the forecast was 115 billion expenses, 114 to 119, and the capex was 60 to 65 billion. Even if we add a 10% growth to revenue, it doesn't cover those costs. So the expenditure and the investment that Meta is about to do in 2025 they're gonna be huge, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna revise them downward throughout the year. But what does this tell us? This tells us that, again, AI is not stopping, it's evolving, and they are gonna invest. And I also got a hint from the earnings call that Reality Labs and maybe the Ray-Ban glasses are like under monitoring. He didn't say that explicitly, but he said that Reality Labs, the Horizon, and the Ray-Ban glasses are gonna show their trajectory this year. So if they don't, I'm pretty sure that's a one good point to cut expenses to invest in AI. So overall, I was pretty happy. I understand that Meta is a cyclical company with structural headwinds because it wasn't like it was in the past. They have to invest in CapEx. Otherwise, they are gonna be left behind.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree. The thing is we are right now, like all of the big names already have businesses and they're building AI on a very strong foundation. You know, given the fact that Meta is an advertising company that wants to do AI, is looking at the future, but their main job is to sell ads. Will AI allow you to sell ads if it's giving you the best and brightest knowledge possible? Sure. If it makes your workload 100 times less, for sure they'll be able to sell them ads. So it's interesting. Microsoft, on the other hand, had really good earnings, in my opinion. At least for the big slow giant that Microsoft is. But given the fact that AI cloud revenue was down, market got spooked, right? Because everybody is right now thinking, oh, we need the return today. We need the return today. How are we making money today? But these companies can withstand the spend because they have other businesses and they have a ton of cash in hand that they need to produce. It's either they give it back to the investors, which creates no future value, or you try to figure out what's the next value proposition, which in this case is AI, knowledge, data analysis, all of these different things that can make the human way more productive, 10, 20 times. And that was the interesting thing. Microsoft went way down, but I definitely saw it as an overreaction as well, because everybody's just expecting a return so fast. We're not going to get that, right? There's still time. Like right now, we are in the early steps of AI, of artificial intelligence, and LLM is only the beginning inning. We have to develop, we have to continue going forward. And then Tesla was interesting because Tesla, I think Elon focused a lot on the driving model, in the self-driving model, and that sort of excited it market. Everybody got excited. The stock kind of missed earnings and revenue, but everybody was already expecting that, given the fact that the cars, because again, Tesla is a car company that it's looking to build other businesses on top of that infrastructure that they already have, and they're hoping that those businesses are bigger, but they do still create revenue and earnings from a model. This foundation again is strong, so all of these companies have this strong foundation. So I don't see why they would stop spending in this, And then again, Tesla ended up doing fantastic. But one thing I want to ask Mimi, and potentially, to get this over and done with, but why did crypto act the way that it did? It just, in my personal humble opinion, it seems that we are risk off. The market, all of a sudden, when China entered the server to compete and play the game with us, the whole market was like, oh my God, the world's gonna end. We are finally at war. But usually in times of war and competition, you invest more money, not less. So in this case, tell me what happened with crypto, Mimi.
So essentially with crypto, made no sense either. But honestly, it wasn't a heavy pullback. I think that if we're talking about crypto specifically, everyone is waiting for alt season. Everyone's on edge right now, and it's at that point now. And I've got a few crypto people in my network, and they're obviously quite frustrated as well and impatient because it's taking a little longer, but still in that normal range. we're just waiting. It's on the verge. It's on the verge of alt season, and we just didn't need another spanner in the works. And so, but overall, crypto didn't pull back that much. I mean, my portfolio was down, but it wasn't down, in a sense that there was a massive crash. It was just okay. It's down for the day, not too bad. You're talking about Bitcoin, where it was down to just under 100K, and everyone was freaking out. But it really wasn't. It just got pulled down because Nasdaq was down nearly 4 to 5%, about 4 point something. I can't remember. That's pretty massive for Nasdaq. And so with crypto, of course, it's just going to get pulled down as well. Coupled with the fact that the sentiment was that we just need it. We can't catch a break. We just need alt season to happen. Everyone is on shaky ground at the moment. Sentiment, everyone's like a little bit bearish, a little bit angry, a little bit frustrated. And so that's just what happened with crypto.
Mhm.
And with the stock market, there were certain companies that, got pulled down as well for no apparent reason. So why not crypto as well? Join the party, pretty much.
Actually,
for sure.
actually, that's a great transition. Actually, to the last point that we wanted to discuss, which was the Fed meeting from yesterday, where Jerome Powell basically announced that there's not going to be more money printed. Right? For now, as a hold, we don't touch things. Let's see where inflation goes. We're data driven. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to talk about Trump. Where basically he's where the Fed is now at status quo level. Can the crypto market, but maybe not just the crypto market, maybe the high beta stocks, continue to move now that we are really at a pause, right? With interest rates still at 4.5%, that means that the cash that you have in your bank account earns at least 3, 4, sometimes even more percent. So you have a lot of retail people that are just comfortable keep that money in their bank account. You have a lot of pension funds and big investment funds that fulfill the minimum required return from their clients by just being invested in zero risk bonds. Can we really? Where will the fuel come to continue to power the crypto rise and the rise of riskier assets, of tech stocks? Maybe Monday was also a day of de-risking ahead of the Fed. We didn't mention that point, but maybe there was something there, right? The markets knew that probably on Wednesday, Powell would say inflation is still high, but we're at a good place in terms of labor market. So with interest rates at 4.5%, does it make sense now to take risks when the risk-free return is quite comfortable?
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe Mimi, what do you think about it?
You got to take into consideration that
Nestor?
money off the table and money in your pocket it's also good, And when you're high up in the sky, as like funny enough, Nvidia, like what was Nvidia is still sitting at 120. Pre-split is 1,200. The growth that Nvidia has had is massive. The growth that Bitcoin, like Mimi said, is massive. So all assets are sitting at extremely high levels. We're just in a time of volatility, and we're just moving sideways within this range, and everybody is freaking out because you're seeing your portfolio go up 10%, go down 10%, which usually for stocks is not a big deal. But with the amount of uncertainty that Trump brings to the table, the amount of uncertainty that the economy is bringing to the table, because we got GDP data today, and the GDP in the United States is lower than expected. So there is de-risking all throughout. Many people are still scared. Inflation is still a possibility. The commodity index also is up 4% in January. There are fears, and all of those fears are mounting because Trump, sorry to say, the reality is that he likes to talk a lot in order to get to the center point, but we don't know what that center point is. So he just brings fear. And I bet you he's probably buying the dip. Well,
To answer
Dimitri wrote a very Yeah, go ahead, Mimi. I just want to mention Dimitri wrote a very interesting article on his Substack about the Fed and about yesterday and about what Powell was discussing, and he also mentioned crypto in his article. But Mimi, go ahead, and then Dimitri, maybe you can tell us what you wrote.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like the Fed and rate cuts or rate pauses and all that. So with the Fed, I mean, the source of liquidity just doesn't just stop there. That's the thing. What we need to realize is that M2 money supply is actually increasing over time. Global liquidity overall as well is expanding, and we need to also focus on like other where liquidity is coming from, flowing from as well globally. So you've got like a more dovish stance in terms of other central banks in Europe, China, Canada. And the other thing that people don't even speak enough of, and I do talk about this a lot, and I try to keep it like very compact, is it's just simply generational wealth. This is the very first time in human history where it's the biggest transfer of generational wealth. And where is that money going to? It's going to new generation, younger generation, and where they're going to put their money. So as I've said before, there's enough money. There's more money than there isn't money. There's more money than there isn't money, if that makes sense at all. There's liquidity shifting around, and we're in a different environment now where you've got the big players coming out, you've got institutions coming out, you've got all these ETFs, rumors, and also applications that are very close to being approved as well. So yeah, a lot of liquidity will be flowing through into crypto. One more thing to actually kind of think about is that we're so many people are focused on market cap, right? The total market cap of crypto. But the thing is, even if it doesn't reach to a certain point, the way to make money within crypto is shifting liquidity. That one of the key differences, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the key differences between the crypto market and the stock market is that the liquidity shifts very quickly. It goes from different narratives. It goes from like, real world assets to AI, to utility, to memes. It's constantly just shifting, and that's where you kind of make your money. So that's for me and my strategy. I actively trade crypto, and then in terms of stocks and ETFs, I invest long term. So there's a lot to unpack there in terms of answering that question, but I hope that sort of answers your question.
No, that's
So,
it's very interesting. Dimitri?
so it's interesting like, what happened last night because I was waiting for the
He
press
did
conference to
talk
start.
about crypto as well, right?
He did in the end. He was asked a question and his answer was to me surprising, not because he said anything, but his approach was different this time. Because I watched so many of these press conferences, and in the beginning he was just ignoring the question, avoiding the question. Then he was saying it's speculation. But last night he said we're not against innovation, and if banks will take the risk and be careful with the risk, they can invest into crypto, which was like surprising. I did not believe what I was watching for a moment. I was like, okay, this thing is turning around. But to answer your previous question, Akim, if this thing can keep going, considering what the Fed did yesterday, which didn't do anything, they just folded, I believe that markets can keep going up. Because if you guys remember, in 2023, we had that great year for the S&P, but that was during the massive hiking cycle that the Fed did in the last 30 years. It went rates from 0 to 5.5, and markets had a good year. Last year, at the second half of the year, they start cutting, and they just cut 100 basis points, and the market had a good end of the year, and this year so far so good. But yeah, I believe markets can have, don't get me wrong, they're going to be even better when he start cutting like crazy. Okay, nothing beats cutting and QE. There's nothing compared to that. But let's not assume that markets cannot go up, even though they're going to hold for the next couple of months, I believe. Because yesterday, what they said, and I was so upset with CNBC people because I was waiting for the press conference to start, and they were talking about hawkish talk. I was like, what did they say? Did they say they're going to raise? And then I'm watching the press conference, and he didn't say anything. He didn't. In a question, if the March cut is on the table, he just avoided the question. He didn't say, no, we're not cutting, we're not thinking about cutting or anything like that. He just avoided the question, keep his cards close to his chest, he kept his options open. He avoided any Trump questions. He didn't want to talk about Trump at all. And to me, it was like a neutral stance. I would characterize as dovish. It was a bit more dovish to me than the hawkish. And the market, I believe, holded pretty well during the press conference. And then after that, it was the earnings, and Tesla took a hit, and Microsoft took a hit, and that the aftermarket was not related to the Fed. But we are, so looking the big picture, so give me another minute to finish this. So looking the big picture about the economy. So the economy is strong. The unemployment is at 4.1%. Inflation is in the 2s, and slowly but surely we're going to get it down to 2, maybe towards the end of the year. The GDP data came out today, 2.3%. I think the estimate was 2.5, Nestor.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so it's not great, but it's not bad. It's not like we're getting into a recession. So
funny enough, Powell said that he's willing to cut, even if we don't reach 2%, as long as it's trending in the right direction. And this is trending in the right direction, lower than expected GDP.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Yeah. If next month we get a good CPI data, I'm not taking the March cut off the table. Everything is possible. He just doesn't want to commit to something, because once he commits, the market takes it and run. Okay, so it's better not saying anything and just doing it when time comes. That's what happened last night. It wasn't anything like the CNBC people made it sound like he was hawkish.
Well, guys, I don't know. I think Adamos said that he also had to leave around. I think we are a little bit over. Mm-hmm. So let me just tell you one thing, so you all know. Say hi to YouTube, because we're live. It turned out that it worked. You know what I mean? Like, I just went onto the channel and we're live. So there's obviously, me watching, but that was the first live stream of Market Buzz. So
nice.
Congratulations to us.
Congratulations.
Very good.
No, but that should be good. Nice. 134 subscribers too, guys. Not too shabby.
Nice.
Not too shabby. Slowly getting there.
Can I ask Mimi a bonus question? Since she's the crypto expert in the discussion today. So some reports of some anecdotal evidence suggest that alt season starts tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
This weekend.
What report are you talking about, Dimitri?
I just sent you on the chat. Trump signed an executive order to start the alt season February 1st.
What's your question?
So no, and this is the serious part of the question. Some people say that this alt season, whatever that happens, I think it's sooner rather than later, is going to be shorter than traditional, like other cycles, because people want to look for the exits a bit earlier. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, you know, I for me personally, like I am open to the fact that alt season will end, this bull cycle overall will end a lot sooner than we think, and it seems to be rippling across everybody else, or you know, all the experts and crypto traders. However, I think it's easier said than done. Everybody says that they're just going to exit at a certain point very early, but in terms of human nature and how much emotion and greed that the crypto market can generate, I don't think my personal opinion is a lot of people won't be able to exit because it's the euphoria and the hysteria is just going to be so high and so intense. It's just like just one more, and that's one thing that everybody needs to be very mindful of, to not chase it, or you're going to get burnt. You're just going to get burnt.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer right there.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we have to let Adamos go.
Yes, please.
He
Bye,
has real life problems, you know. People calling.
Don't worry
But
about
yes.
crypto, Dimitri. You can copy Mimi.
What?
Okay. Don't worry about crypto. You can copy Mimi with another
Yeah.
Copy me.
account.
Yeah.
For peace
Yeah,
of
it-
mind.
Yeah, it's just like, those obvious questions, everything seems to be a bit different this time around with crypto. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I wasn't so deep into it the last cycle. So maybe it looks different to me. And I want to ask Mimi some questions about, people are just at the edge of their seats. They want to get to the old season. And then, people try to think 2 steps ahead. Like, okay, I'm going to get to old season, then I'm going to exit early with all my gains.
Yeah. Well, I'll
I
be
mean-
there for everyone when it happens. So I'm here to hold your
Nestor, do I
hand.
have to do anything before I leave?
Okay, wait. Let me just let me just stop it, and let's just wait until you upload really quickly. It shouldn't take too long.
All
You
right.
just catch up.